Hello everyone, Solstice blessings to you, whether you're in the northern hemisphere or the southern. The wheel of the year has turned once more, and here in Tasmania the nights are longer and colder. Tonight the darkness begins to retreat and light begins to return once more. And as the wheel continues to spin, the sun returns to us once more. So if you're in Australia, you might want to light a candle and say, even in the darkest hours, even in the longest nights, the spark of life lingers on, laying dormant, waiting, ready to return when the time is right. The darkness will leave us now as the sun begins its journey home. As the wheel turns, light returns. The light of the sun has returned to us, bringing life and warmth with it. The shadows will vanish and life will continue, and we are blessed by the light of the sun. So I decided to do a 4-card reading for Solstice. And let's just call it Solstice season, rather than say summer solstice in the northern hemisphere and winter solstice in the southern hemisphere. Wherever you are in the world right now, there is a lot of darkness. So let's see if we can bring in the light. What deck? I think I'll use the Rider-Waite deck. Good old-fashioned Rider-Waite deck cards. Now the four card layout I'm going to use. So the first card is the gift of the season. And we have the King of Swords. So the King of Swords is all about mental clarity and intellectual power, authority. The King of Swords is someone we trust. And I mean, it shows as a male energy here, but really we're just talking about anyone in authority, anyone in power, anyone that's got a position of influence. And they're respected for their wisdom and their judgment. And importantly, this leader believes in upholding the law. So when we look at the card, this King of Swords is sitting on his throne, facing forward as if, ready to face whatever life's throwing at him. And this could represent you in your life. You could be the King of Swords in your life. He actually holds a double-edged sword in his right hand, and that symbolises the conscious, rational mind. But the sword points upright and to the left, and that represents the subconscious, intuitive mind. So this is about duality. This king is, he could be decisive and very open to both the intellectual side of his understanding and to intuition. It's all about decisiveness, but he's flexible and he makes decisions based mainly on his intellectual understanding of a situation. But he does, as we saw with that sword pointing, he does still stay open to his intuition. Now, I'm not sure that Donald Trump is famed for his intuition, so we certainly need a strong leader at the moment. And the King of Swords is all about clarity, stability, and that certainly would be a gift to the collective right now, wouldn't it? But it's interesting because when we look at this card, we can see that there is an angelic guidance here. This card also signifies someone that's good at talking, a good communicator. So not only are they good at making decisions, they're good at, I'm just thinking of, the talks that are going on right now, like the debates, and, how it's be really important to be a good communicator at this point in time. Ultimately, we can be reassured that this is someone that makes good decisions. They have intellectual prowess. And they can analyse situations objectively and make, as I say, good decisions. Yes, I think that is an excellent card for the first card, the gift of the season. That kind of gives us a bit of hope, doesn't it? That that someone with a bit of intellect and a bit of fair-mindedness might be able to step forward in this situation. So the next card in the 4-card spread is a lesson to integrate. So during the solstice season, what is it that we need to learn? Okay. Ace of Pentacles. Well, when we look at the Ace of Pentacles, it's all about being open to, something's being offered here. So the lesson is to be open to what's being offered, being open to a new opportunity. And when we look at the card, we can see like the hand of God coming out through the clouds. And as I said, with the King of Swords, it looked like there was angelic guidance there. There's a bit of intuition there, being connected to the rational mind and, being more spiritually open as well. This lesson, I think, ultimately is just about being open. If we delve deeper into the Ace of Pentacles, the Ace is generally like a unified energy, like one energy. So this is a high vibrational spirit bringing through an opportunity, bringing through a realization. Hand of God is making me think of like an act of God, as if there's an opportunity, but maybe there's something more divinely orchestrated here. Maybe it's not just about this leader coming forward. It could be something out of our hands that changes things and brings forward a realization. The Ace of Pentacles, yes, asking us to be open to receive, to be able to take what's being offered, is potentially a lesson that could be life-changing. If we're talking about the collective right now, this shows us we're at the biggest fork in the road moment, bigger than any of us have ever contemplated. And remember, we're all connected, so whatever is happening in the collective is happening in our own lives and vice versa. So we need to be open to an opportunity. We need to appreciate things that we have going on in life right now. So if there's a lesson, it may be that we need to adopt a different vantage point, maybe see the bigger picture and be open to what's being offered. Reading those two cards together is potentially a solution is being offered from this King of Swords energy. Perhaps a way through is being offered by someone with some intelligence and a sense of justice. But as I say, I'm really feeling with this hand coming out, yes, it's an opportunity, but it feels like there's something else there, that's divinely orchestrated, perhaps an act of God. It may feel like an act of God just to be able to, something miraculous to see the way ahead. So yes, even in your personal lives, take the Ace of Pentacles as an opportunity to be open to what's being offered. Don't just reject any new ideas. Now we move on to the third card. And this third card is all about what do we need to let go of in the solstice season? What do we need to let go of? What should we let go of on a collective level and on a personal level? So we have the Star card. Now, those of you that know tarot know that the Star card is typically about hope. But don't worry, this is not about abandoning all hope. In this position, in this reading, the Star is about letting go of negativity, self-doubt, past traumas, We can learn from the past, but we mustn't let it rule our lives, and we mustn't let it destroy our future. So the star invites us to release the need for control. And, isn't that just the crux of the whole situation? Whether we're talking about the Middle East or Ukraine or even a battle closer to home or in our families. Life would be so different if we just didn't feel the need to control everything. So the star is a message to us all just to learn what we need to learn from the situation and then let go of, if it's past hurt, as I say, past traumas, let go of negativity, let go of self-doubt, let go of insecurity. Embrace your worth, embrace hope, especially now, embrace hope and faith and a belief in a brighter future. Surrender to the flow of life and trust that you're guided to your true path and that things will work out. So the star card signifies a time just for letting go of resistance, to change and embrace new opportunities. It is a star of hope, so good things are coming our way. But as I say, in the position of letting go, it's really talking about just letting go of that stuff that's holding us back. Yeah, so release whatever's holding you back so that you can shine your light brightly and move forward. And actually, I'd just like to add a star card as well as I'm looking at it. There's a lot of water in this card. It reminds me that it's connected to Aquarius and a connection to the divine. In all my readings over the last couple of years, I've said, look, the age of Aquarius, it's there, it's just around the corner. But things have to get worse before they get better. It's almost like we have to see the worst of something before we pull ourselves together. Like we saw that in COVID. It was a really hard time for so many people, but it changed. On a subtle level, things changed. People, realised the things that they were taking for granted. And there was like a new appreciation for things. Sometimes it's just the nature of us as human beings. Sometimes things have to get worse before they get better. So we come on to the last card. So the last card is all about, what do we want to grow with the returning of the sun? So as the sun rises again, what are we going to nurture? What are we going to let grow with the returning of the sun? Okay. The Fool. Well, you couldn't have a more optimistic card in this position because the Fool is all about new beginnings. So as the sun returns to us, we're invited to nurture that part of ourselves that we often suppress, especially as we get older. I think, we're less inclined to take risks. And so the Fool is inviting us to reconnect with that, nurture that part of ourselves again, the excitement, the call to adventure. Take risks, trust your intuition. Step out into the unknown. Even if the path ahead isn't clear, you might not have all the answers, but if you're feeling excited to start something new, just do it. This card is about spontaneity, letting go of fear, and generally approaching life with curiosity and an open heart. Again, it's about being open. So the Fool is the first card in the tarot deck, the first card on the journey. And it's all about a new chapter in life, a fresh start. And there's almost something childish and naive about the Fool. And that can be a good thing. You're not sort of weighed down by cynical thoughts or fear, things that would hold you back. And I do love the sense of fun of the Fool. There's a lot of yellow happiness and the dogs jumping. And it's a very joyous card. So listen to your inner voice. Trust your instincts, even if things seem a little uncertain. Be spontaneous, let go of fear. yeah, that's all about a new chapter. I find that really exciting. You know, you can see the story here from the King of Swords through the Ace of Pentacles to the Star and the Fool. Come what may, we are going to have a new beginning, a new chapter in our life, and it's going to be filled with hope and joy and light. So that's the end of the solstice reading. I think you'll agree there's a lot to be positive about. These times were fated. We came back at this time to hold the light in the darkness, and it may get darker yet before the sunlight returns. However, these cards show there is an opportunity being offered, wisdom and intelligence, a way ahead. A decision maker or an act of God will provide a solution if the world is ready to accept the opportunity. But come what may, the light, the star of hope will return, and we will all face a new beginning filled with joy, love and light.